So we're jumping back into this. I'm going to go with the same build. I think it's reasonable. Hey look, we had a little beeping sound effect. We're going to try a woman this time, see if we have any better luck. Though that icon is horrifying. And I will see you once I'm approximately back to where we were. And I'll show you any significant differences from then to now. See you then. Oh, this is kind of cool. So I looted a belt. I forgot about this, but now I remember it. When you loot containers, there can actually be stuff in the containers, so it's generally always a good idea to pick them up. That's kind of cool. I forgot about that. It was nice of them to give me a little warning before I sold it too. That's nice. We'll see ya. We're actually almost done, but I'll go back downstairs before I cut in again. See you then. Alright, this is about where we are. So I got a few things at the store. We've got 2 enchanted items already, which should help us a good bit. Got a large pack, it just happened to be in the store, lucky us. And that's basically it. I should check our character just to see how much armor. 24, that's about where we were last time, wasn't it? It was like 21 or 23 or something. But the further you progress in the game, interestingly, generally the better chance you have to survive. We'll take minor wounds, it's fine. A lot of games, the further you get, the more likely you are to die. Can I actually save in this game? Oh, you can. That's fine. Maybe I'll start saving. I don't know, it feels kind of counter to the point of a roguelike. There's a door somewhere around here, I just don't know where it is. There it is. Whoops, somewhere around there. What I'd really like is a scroll of identify. Oh, thank you. Or a book of identify, rather. I don't know if it's one of the skills I can learn when I level. I should check for doors. I'm trying to find doors. Always interrupting. Actually, I'm going to take a second and look up the hotkey. There has to be a hotkey to use this hot bar. See you in a second. Apparently there are no hotkeys for the spells, or at least it's not listed in the keyboard commands. I'm surprised they actually made tables for all the different items and everything. That's kind of impressive. We will continue. Oh, that's what killed me last time. The Viper seems to have a lot of health. I say as it dies in 2 hits. I do remember dying to the rat before. It's very embarrassing. What if I do... No. I was thinking I could do, like, maybe press S. And then 0. Doesn't like that, though. Oh, he doesn't look friendly. He's slow at least. Well, that's not a good position to be in. Actually, I should take the turn to go around and juke him. No. How do I cancel? I don't think I can. Whatever, I'll take the hit. 2 hits. Ouch. It's probably a better way to do that. Alright. Ooh, he dropped silver. Nice. This is more or less the game until we find some story items. I think this thing might kill me again. No dogs, please. Okay, didn't last that long. I will see you the next time we see a new enemy or something else interesting. Otherwise, it's just this. It's I don't think it's really watchable. I enjoy it, but unless something happens, I won't bring you in. So I'll see you when I see you. Alright, we killed a spider, got to level 4, and it opens up the second tier of spells. I don't know if clairvoyance regenerates mana. No, I can't check. Identify would be very useful though. So we'll take that. And I'll see you next time something happens. Alright, we've come up to an interesting room here with a bunch of kobolds. Or as I've always said, kobold. Feel free to correct me on that. I've never actually, I'm sure I've heard it said out loud. I just can't recall when. That note is important as I remember it. Ooh, and enchanted gloves. Who doesn't like enchanted gloves? I'm sorry, they're gauntlets. Jeez. How does this work? Do we put it in our hand or something? You examine the scrap of paper carefully, which turns out to be part of a message in a strange blood-red script. The top part is missing, but you can make out the following. Is dead. Return to the fortress north of Bjar and await my orders. I repeat, stop at nothing to ensure this danger is removed. It's signed at the bottom with a single ornate S, with flames entwining the letter. As you stare at the flames, they seem to flicker and dance, and you feel the great paper grow hot in your hands. You hurriedly drop the paper as it bursts into flames, and as you watch in shock as the ashes fall to the ground. I don't know what I did to that sentence. Your stomach feels a bit queasy with worry, and you think maybe you should head back to the hamlet. Alright. Let's, I'm gonna scout around a little bit more. See what we have on this level. Alright. Check these out. Cursed bracers. That's no good. Something about the idea of, you keep going to sleep and you wake up 3 or 4 times in your sleep just to have to shoot someone with a magic bolt. Something about that amuses me. Everything around here is cursed. It's odd that this isn't lit. I think I have a scroll of lighting or whatever they call it. Oh, I have a wand. Oh, I have so much crap. There we go. Yeah. Alright, so I will head back and see what has gone on. I'll see you when I'm there. Okay, on returning, we got this box popping up. You're almost home. Ahead of you, the path winds another half-mile around the hills north of the hamlet. Your pack rests heavily on your shoulders, shifting slightly with each step you take. The enigmas of the mine still nag at you. Why were those fell creatures encamped therein? From where did they come? And what was the meaning of the scrap of parchment you recovered at the bottom? As you round the last hill, a sharp, smoky smell fills your nostrils. Burning thatch? Hastily, you drop your pack and jog to the wrecked gate. Heavy smoke hangs in the air. Charred timbers still smolder from the ruins of the houses. The air lies eerily quiet, missing the babble of a living hamlet, the cries of children, the cackle of poultry. A wrecked wagon lies overturned in the middle of the road. 2 vultures start at your intrusion and flap away heavily. With horror, you suddenly understand the part of the message you found in the mine. Whoever's dead, and the rest of the note. This was no random act of destruction, and neither was the burning of your farm. Somebody ordered this, somebody who saw danger in this humble hamlet, close enough, or in its inhabitants. Shocked, you realized that the savage act must have been aimed at you. None of these villagers had traveled more than a league away from their homes in their entire lives. You were not born here, but far away. You lost your godparents in a similar horrific act of arson. You must be the danger. You wonder again at your unknown past, which again has proven deadly to those you loved, and you swear once again to exact revenge against those responsible. Once more you ponder the scrap of parchment. The town of Bjar lies but a day's journey down the highway to the west. Perhaps you should exercise your growing skills against this fortress. You kick aside a piece of broken gate, then, remembering your dropped pack, head back up the path to recover it. Bjar awaits you. Can I still go into any of these, or are they well toasted? I believe it's all well toasted. Unfortunate. Okay, we've reached the village of Bjar. That is its new official name. This looks much nicer. What is this? A bank? I vaguely remember the bank. There's the temple again. Miscellaneous nonsense. How does a bank work? Sure. You receive a... Oh, okay. I think the money has weight in this game. So if you have a note, then it wouldn't... There would be no weight. How, is that like a physical item, that note? Doesn't matter. Cool. Alright. What else do we have? Junk store, village sage, a building. What's in a building? Nothing. Fair enough. What's that? Wealthy villa. That's fine. Outfitters, armor shop. Am I just looking for the fortress now? Am I just kind of self-motivated? That's cool if I am. You don't often see that in games. Usually you always have someone telling you what to do. I guess the narrator sort of did, but it's different. Alright, I'm gonna go shopping, and you'll rejoin me once I'm ready to leave the village. See you then. Alright, we're all ready to go. I don't actually recall what's around here. Back there was what would have been the end of the demo. That was the end of the demo when I was a kid. And first played this. I think it was on Way Cool Games they included it. Way Cool Games, I believe, is going to make up a few episodes over the next week. As I go back through some of these older window games, some of which I played, some of which I haven't. That would suck to die here, if you weren't saving or whatever. Hey, look, it's nice and green. Do I still have my wand out? No. I think this is going to turn into the same sort of stuff for a while again. Which is fine. But if that is the case, I will probably be cutting out here, and I'll see you in a bit. Oh, here's a interesting new fellow. I bought a firebolt spell at the store, as you do. Ooh, he's a bandit, and he's dead. I also rearranged my spells. You can do that in the spell menu with the customize spell menu button. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit. I think that's there's a few more enemies, and then we're pretty close to the end of the game. I don't think it goes on much longer than this. So I've moved down a good ways. We're in level 11 of the fortress. Apparently we're fighting Gumby, an animated bronze statue. There have been a bunch of new enemies up until this point, so I guess I'll cut you in for this floor. How's that? And then the next one will probably be the final battle, if there is one. I don't remember if there's a battle or if you just like go down a set of stairs and that's the end. But things are definitely getting harder to kill at this point. I'm having to get a little more creative with how I do things. For example, I was getting use out of that wand charge because I ran out of mana. I've also encountered this awful, I think he called it a pale right or something like that, which damages your intelligence and other stats, so that you have to go into town to restore those stats before you can go any further, or find a, I wonder why there's two. I think this is just specifically my belt. No, that can't be it. I don't know. Anyway, things are getting tougher. Let's detect traps. It's the Oracle. I don't know if you can... what kind of verbiage we have going on here. I don't think we have very many. I don't think there's anything we can actually do with that fountain. No, that's fine. Can we... No, that wouldn't make sense. Fair enough. Really, there's nothing else here, huh? I have a hard time believing that, but alright. This doesn't go anywhere. Huh. Oh. Guess detect traps isn't foolproof. Hello, hungry caterpillar. That was a well done book. Wasn't an expensive kids book, but they cut little holes in it so you can see the different food it eats. Sure, let's throw children's book reviews into this format. Why not? One per week. Why not? I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. I did recently have to purchase a bunch of books for my daughter's upcoming birthday, though. And I figured I may as well do like Christmas shopping and stuff while I was there too. And ooh, what's that? Ooh, that might be like a final boss or something. I don't know. Let's get in a more favorable position. Ah. Before you looms a gigantic figure out of legend. Long ago in a more peaceful time, your godparents spun tales of the 9 worlds around you, the worlds of the Aesir and Vanir gods above, That's Norse, and that's about as much as I know of that. I think Aesir is associated with wolves for some reason. In Vanir, they have like illusions and whatnot. Is that right? Maybe they both do. The world of the dead and the dark dwarves below. The grim worlds of frost and flame and stone through which they stride the mighty Jotuns, called giants. I guess this is all Norse. In those rare times when they walk the earth. The enormous beings before you can only be such a Jotun, taller and broader than any man, or even any ogre, yet equipped and accoutred, suited, clothed, in a manner which suggests intelligence much beyond any mere monster. Man, this guy's writing level is above my reading level. Eyes which gleam with evil meet your gaze. The giant rubs his broad chin and shouts in a gravelly bass. Who is the impertinent human who would visit great Harugnir with a weapon drawn? He probably didn't stutter trying to say his own name, but who knows. At last, you confront the one who destroyed your foster parents' farm, who burned and pillaged the simple hamlet which sheltered you, who in pursuit of you has slaughtered all you held dear. We're gonna call him Hungry. Hungry notes your mounting rage and chuckles. Ah, so you're the one I was to kill, the little creature who caused such a disturbance in the upper fortress. I suspected that those villagers were too meek to have been the threat I sought. How kind of you to come to me now so that I may finish this task properly. My lord never need know of my initial failure. Guards, destroy this foolish pest. An imperious gesture from Hungry summons a squad of armored ogres. As they rush at you, the giant hefts a round boulder in one hand. Okay, so he was supposed to be ranged, I guess, which is good news for us due to his position. However, I think I am going to die because I need a better healing item. Well, I guess I'll finish the Amazon story. I was looking, I ran out of gift ideas, so I went on Amazon and I used their gift ideas categories. So it was like gifts for kids age 8 to 10. And I was scrolling through the recommendations, all of them pretty plain. None of them really caught my eye until Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast came up. Not just that, but it was an LP of it. I took a screenshot of it. Essay, how about you throw that up there now? And while you're looking at that, I will be heading back down here. As you can see, I've died a number of times. This is my 4th death on this character. I've been save scumming, because I'm a bad person. See you next time. Alright, let's give this another go. I'll see you when I win or lose. Hey, that actually went very well. The mortally wounded Hungry staggers and falls to one knee, descending to your eye level. One huge hand points at you. You brace for a counterspell as the giant traces a serpentine pattern with a carmine glowing figure. Essay, you're going to have to break out the dictionary for me on that one. Hissing sibilantly. Suddenly, Hungry coughs and chokes, and the spell flickers out prematurely. He gasps and meets your gaze again. My lord thinks that you, dead. A short bark of giantish laughter dies into a rattle as Hungry eyes glaze, and he pitches over dead. Vengeance is yours. With patience and courage worthy of the great Aesir, you have wrought revenge for yourself, your foster parents, and your village. All the pain of the recent weeks came from the designs of the enormous being Hungry. Now his body lies dead before you. His depredations, break out the dictionary again, have come to an end. But who sent this Hungry? To whom or what did he report? Why were you selected to retrieve his malign attentions? Is there more to this? Or is he just setting up a cliffhanger? These questions haunt you as, impelled by a nagging suspicion, you search the battered body of the dead giant. A familiar glint from under the giant's jerkin. Gherkin? Isn't it gherkin? Jerkin? I've never heard that out loud. Stops your breath momentarily. There, with trembling hands, you draw forth a shining amulet which warms immediately to your touch. Left for you by your dead and unknown father, kept in trust for you by your slain foster parents, stolen by Hungry's brigands. now recovered by your heroism. You now hold in your hands the promised legacy, the key to your unknown birthright. It seems to glow faintly in the faintly in the greeting, and grows unnaturally warm as you think of your father. Without hesitation, you place the amulet around your neck, where it fits you perfectly. That's not the end of the game, is it? Is it? No, it's not actually equipped. I figured that would be the end of the game. I guess... should we go back to town? I'm surprised by this. Well, kill these fellows, I guess. Even though they're very slow. That's not what I wanted. Maybe I have to actually pick up... yeah, the amulet's there. I gotcha. I've gotcha. Alright. Let's go there and pick it up and equip it then. Maybe that's what the game wants. Yeah, there we go. Resistant to drain life. Well, that's kind of unimpressive, I gotta say. Resistant to drain life. I don't know if I've even encountered that in the game yet. Maybe this game does go on longer. I'll go back to town. Or I could... how about this? I'll save, and I'll go back to town. If there's nothing at town, I'll go down further. Either way, I'll see you next time something happens. Ah, you activate the amulet. Great. As you activate the amulet, you immediately feel it radiate power. As its aura spreads, enveloping you, your awareness of the world around you fades. A warm, colorless glow obscures your vision. A watery rushing sound fills your ears. You can no longer feel the weight of your armor, or even your feet on the ground, as if you were floating in a warm pool. The rushing sound fades to a low burble, and then to a barely noticeable throb. You feel warm and protected, and somehow content. Time passes. A minute? An hour? You don't know. After an unknown time, you notice a shape in the glow before you. As you watch it, it coalesces into the form of a man shimmering in ornate armor, who meets your gaze and smiles warmly. His features seem familiar, though you don't recognize his face. He opens his mouth to speak, and the low throb in your ears rises rapidly in pitch until it forms words. My daughter, I am he who is called Prince Arvi, thy father. The power of the amulet which thou now dost wear has summoned me from the nether realm, and thee from Midgard, so that I may speak to thee this once. Thou hast done very well to have come this far against all obstacles before thee, and I am very well pleased with the manner in which thou hast shown thy mettle, avenging the deaths of thine godparents and the destruction of thy village, yet thy greatest test still awaits thee. Really? Alright. Elation fills you at your father's words of praise and the discovery of your royal blood, but his hint of future trials tempers your delight with foreboding. Your father continues, 18 winters ago, disaster struck our line, when we became enmeshed in a great conflict between the Aesir Thor and trickster Loki. On mortal Midgard, dread Surtur himself has taken a part, which was not to happen until the eve of Ragnarok. All the wise in all the 9 worlds fear that his continuing intervention in mortal affairs portends the premature arrival of Ragnarok and doom for us all. The attacks on thy farm and village, terrible as they were, are then but 2 threads in this great pattern, for Hungry hunted thee at the direct command of Surtur, who sees that thou art fated to oppose him. In thy task, then, as the last surviving heir to the throne, in thy fated destiny as my daughter, to thwart Surtur's designs on Midgard, thou must reclaim our fallen castle of the winds. When thou dost invoke the power of thy amulet once more, it will transport thee to a town near the castle. From there wend thy way to the castle's ruined throne room, where even now the shade of my father, King Lithrancyr, thy grandfather, awaits thy arrival. You notice your father's voice slur somewhat, dropping a bit in pitch, and his mailed legs waver as if seen through a fire. He looks away for a moment, then meets your gaze again. I may tarry here no longer, but must leave thee now to fulfill thy destiny, and so lift the doom on our bloodline. Thy grandfather can tell thee more. May all the Aesir shield thee, dear daughter. With a final gentle smile, your father's image dissolves into the surrounding glow, and a low rumble replaces his voice in your ears, leaving you alone, once again fatherless. The glow reveals no other figures, yields no other voices. You float without sense of time. After an indeterminable period, awareness of your surroundings return. You find yourself back on your feet with the amulet cooling in your hand and 100 questions heating your mind. Well, I'm in a bad place, so let's go ahead and use that again. Here ends Part 1 of Castle of the Winds, A Question of Vengeance. To continue your adventures in Part 2, The Fall of Searcher, save your game now and see order information under the Help menu. Once you receive Part 2, you'll be able to load your character from Part 1 and continue your quest. I don't think there actually is a Part 2. Right? Because the demo of Part 1 ends after the first dungeon, and then you have to order you had to order the full Part 1. How about this? Essay, you look that up and put in text what happens now. Anyway, as far as the game itself goes, and I'm assuming that was the total end of the series, that there was no Part 2. Castle of the Winds does everything I expect out of a game. It's not much to look at, but I think from a design standpoint, it shows more thoughtfulness than you'd typically see out of even dozens large teams today. The developer, Rick Saad, did all this himself. It was very well written. I don't know if the dev was an English major or if he just read way too many books on Norse mythology, but both technically and from a subjective interest standpoint, I really enjoyed reading the story in the game. It wasn't too long. It was just enough to set the tone and get the information we needed. And it's nice to see someone being meticulous about every aspect of their game, including the writing. As someone who's done transcriptions and proofreading for pay for a good while, it was a nice change from what I'm used to. Games really need to excel in all media. It is multimedia, so if you have bad writing or bad voice acting or bad music, or the zombie nurses in your horror game make a goofy fart sound when you hit them, the weakest link of all that is always what I remember. I think the game benefited a good amount from just how short it was. It avoided most of the problems CRPGs have, which mostly relate to everything being about increasing your numbers. So many RPGs I've played feel like a really long Pokemon battle. Like your entire purpose in the game becomes about getting bigger numbers, and it feels like I'm on a treadmill. It feels like work. That doesn't happen here because everything's kind of constrained, but not so much that it feels overly simple. It stays away from a lot of those time-wasting Skinner box problems by simply not stretching out the gameplay to an unreasonable length. When I was a kid, I really liked those longer games because I'd only get a couple or few a year, so I needed them to last me for months. But I don't think that's really the case for anyone anymore. Anyone with a computer has quick and easy access to tens of thousands of free games right now. Even if you don't have a PC, if you have like a PS3 or whatever, there are so many free games on the PlayStation Network or whatever the Microsoft one is called. That I don't think there's really justification anymore to have these Skinner box elements overwhelming the interesting things a game could otherwise be doing. So there is actually serious discussion, like scholarly discussion in the games industry about the idea of this theoretical perfect game. And a lot of these discussions start with the idea of a perfect game being something you play forever. So like in, not Ender's Game. Was it Ender's Game? No, it was Ready Player One. But there was this idea of like it has to be like Oasis, like it's something you play your entire life. And I think that's just a horrible foundation to put this idea of a perfect game on, because I would consider something like this a perfect game. It has everything I expect. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's nice and short. It doesn't need to last your entire lifetime. Could you imagine doing that with any other media? Could you imagine like a book that you start out and you want to make this perfect book, and you start out with this idea that it's supposed to be something you read for your entire life, or a movie you watch for your entire life? That's ridiculous. So I think if you believe in this idea of a perfect game, I think it's ridiculous to start with a requirement that it needs to last through someone's entire lifetime. Anyway, back to Castle of the Winds. I'm getting off track. I did like having all the information I needed to play inside of the game. The manual was solid. I didn't really need it. It all felt pretty intuitive. I was actually surprised the game had so much hotkeyed. It was released in 1993, but developed in 1989. So it was pretty impressive to see ideas like that implemented when we have lazier games today, which still don't. The art style was relatively pleasant. Granted, it looked like it was made in paint, but it still looks sharper and more cohesive than a good number of RPG makers, which have come out in the past decade. I don't know if it's the engine or what, like with RPG Maker, but I try out a lot of those games and everything just looks fuzzy and undefined, and it just feels like a mishmash of art styles. I know a lot of them are using free assets, and they just kind of mix these different packs and they don't look right. But even with originally designed stuff, sometimes it generally has a habit of looking off. And then, you have these blocky characters, and then they do that portrait window, and you've got something that doesn't even resemble the sprite. Usually because it was two different artists that they paid, who I don't know. It tends not to work. Here, everything worked. It didn't look great, but it was nice and sharp. And after playing all of those CPC games, those Amstrad CPC games, it was nice to be able to figure out what I was looking at, rather than circle thing, triangle thing, rectangle thing, or squiggly thing coming out of a porcupine thing. Music and sound effects could have added to the game, but I guess at least they didn't detract, which does happen, because again, I always remember the worst thing about a game, and then sometimes some really great moment that carries with me 30 years into my future. But usually it's the worst thing about a game. Usually there isn't that inspiring thing, that inspiring experience I get in a game that I remember decades later. But Castle of the Winds, it's just a well-designed, nice, short CRPG, not super ambitious, but flavorful and done well. I won't get into what Rick Sad has done since, but feel free to check him out. He did Pirates of the Burning Seas. I actually played that. I didn't know he was involved in it. That shut down. That was an MMO. I think some other different company is trying to do basically a reboot of Pirate of the Burning Seas. Didn't work the first time, but I guess they're going to try it again. Anyway, feel free to check out what he's done, and I'll see you tomorrow.